You know, we're talking a lot about the coronavirus pandemic this week, and there are a lot of questions that understandably you may have after hearing advice from medical experts and also the rising number of cases. So we're going to bring in our friend and our expert, Dr. Arnold Baskies, to help us sort through all of this. He's the past chairman of the National Board of Directors of the American Cancer Society and also the chair of the Global Cancer Control Advisory Council. As always, we're happy to have you with us, Dr. B. Good morning.
Good morning, Stephanie.
So we're going to start with this because officials, they really pleaded with people, don't travel for Thanksgiving. A lot of people listened, some didn't, but let's move on with it here because if you did travel or you live with someone who traveled, do you need to quarantine? And if so, after that, what steps do you take?
Great question, Stephanie. So think about this for a second. This weekend, 50 million Americans, or about 15% of our population, are traveling for Thanksgiving. That's a lot of opportunity for the virus to have traveled back and forth with these people. The short answer to your question is if you traveled to visit family or friends, or you hosted guests from outside your immediate household, you do need to quarantine. You really need to do an honest self-risk analysis. So there are three things you should consider when you assess your risk exposure. First, consider who you visited with over Thanksgiving. How many guests were with you, and what were their risk levels? If you were with an elderly person who's been quarantining, that risk was low. On the other hand, if you were with multiple households, especially families with teenage children who are in school, or those folks had been at work, these households have been quarantining probably very little, the risk is much higher. Second, how did you interact with these people? If you literally only saw these people outdoors, spaced at least 6 feet apart, and you were really careful, the risk is very low. If you were spending time with them indoors, the risk is much higher. Third, what was the type of exposure that you did experience during your travel? If you drove by yourself or you were with members of your own immediate family, the risk is low. If you flew or you used other modes of transportation, the risk is higher. The safest thing to do is to quarantine for 14 days, not only to protect your family, but for the people you work with. If testing is readily available, quarantining for at least 7 days after the date of return and then get tested. So that's what I would recommend at this point.
Right. The tricky thing is that those test results there may be a backlog, you know, in getting those test results back. So you really need to take that quarantine seriously and just take the test as soon as you come back. So lots of people are going to be shopping online only, you know, this season. But if you do go inside of a store, what can you do to make sure that you avoid getting the virus?
So obviously the stores will be more crowded at this time of the year. Try to go in off hours. If they have early opening times, go then. Practice social distancing while you're shopping. Be very aware of who's around you. Keep at least 6 feet apart between you and your other shoppers and the store employees. Keep your hands away from your face and do not touch the outside of your mask. That defeats the whole purpose of wearing the mask. And invest in good masks, not these things that you just kind of pull over from your collar. Wash your hands with warm water and soap for at least 20 seconds when you return home. And again, after you put away your groceries or your gifts. Those are some very basic things that can help control the virus.
Right. And, you know, one thing is that a lot of stores are also offering appointment windows, right, for you to, if you want to go in and shop. So that's something that you definitely want to take advantage of and just kind of call the store maybe in advance if that's something that you're looking to do.
The stores that offer that, absolutely.
All right, Dr. B, thank you so much for joining us this morning and for sharing your insights. We appreciate it.
Anytime, and go Eagles.
There you go. I always wait for that on Sundays. Thank you, Dr. B.
Thank you.